direction to leave and at least one of the occupying persons possesses a firearm. There is a -1 amendment to the bill that makes a number of modifications. The amendment is posted on OLIS. It applies the crime to a person who, together with 9 other persons, physically occupies public property, and at least one of the persons remains on the property for more than 48 hours following a lawful direction to leave. At least 2 of the occupying persons possess a firearm, and at least one of the persons brandishes or openly displays a firearm. The amendment requires the defendant have knowledge of each of these circumstances and punishes as a Class C felony. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. So my statement here is that Senate Bill 897 was introduced at the request of a former member, Charlie Ringo. Apparently there's been a death in his family, so he is not here today to give testimony. I do know there are a number of individuals that have signed up to testify. I'm willing to take that testimony. I also want to let you know at this point the chair is not inclined to move the bill forward, meaning we're not looking at it going forward. This was an opportunity to have a discussion as to issues that former Senator Ringo wanted to put on the record and have more discussion. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and call up. I've got, it looks like 6 individuals who want to give testimony. Again, please remember at this point, the chair is inclined not to be moving the bill forward, but we'll be more than willing to take your testimony since you have come here today, and that way it will be part of the record. And if Senator Ringo is able to have his schedule to come in and make his statements, that will be part of the record as well. So with that said, I'll call up Philip Watson. I believe it is Thomas Lewis.
Yes, I'm the one.
Okay, and then Julie Collins. If the 3 of you would please come forward, you will be our first panel. And as y'all are coming up and getting situated, and I'm not sure if you've given testimony before, what we need you to do is put your name on the record and then your testimony. And if we have written testimony, please, and it's been posted, please don't read it into the record because it is already part of the record. Please just give us, the highlights of your written testimony, or speak from the heart as to why you believe, based on the checking here, we should go forward with it. And you go.
Yes.
Okay, we'll let you go first.
Thank you, Chairman. Distinguished members of the committee. First, I would like to say I'm pleased to hear that the consideration is probably not going forward. I submitted a lengthy letter, and you all can read that at your disposal. And I would just like to keep it real short here and say, anything that would infringe on constitutional rights, right to free speech, right to keep and bear arms, is a pretty serious thing to take away from a citizen. And I realize that Senator Ringo isn't here to give his testimony, but I would definitely say that the bill, as it was written, is very troublesome.
I'm not sure if I heard you. Could you put your name on the record?
Yeah, my name is Philip Watson with the Firearms Policy Coalition.
Okay.
And just to wrap up real quick, I met a lot of civil rights leaders just growing up and going to school, and anything that would attack the right to rallies and so forth, I think it would be a very extreme law. And I would encourage, if it would come to a vote, I would encourage all of you to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Thomas?
Yes. I basically have the same points. Please be aware of the following points regarding this.
Thomas, before you give us your name and then your testimony.
Yes, it's Samuel Thomas Lewis, Lincoln County.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Please be aware of the following points regarding the U.S. Constitution as it relates to SB 897. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution enumerates the God-given right to peacefully assemble and petition the government for redress of grievances. The Second Amendment to the United States Constitution enumerates the God-given right for the citizens to bear arms. SB 897 could make it a felony to possess arms in a facility when assembled for the redress of grievances. Such a law would be in violation of both the First and Second Amendments to the Constitution. As a senator or representative, you have sworn an oath to defend the United States Constitution, and to vote in favor of SB 897 would be a violation of your oath. And so I call on you to vote against SB 897.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
Well, basically, it's not much different from his testimony, it's just that I believe that it's.
Well, I appreciate you coming and putting it on the record. If you'll just stay there for a second, we're going to have to take Julie's, and we're going to ask if anyone has any questions for you. Julie?
Hi, my name is Julie Collins. You know, my mama taught me that you catch more flies with honey, but today I'm gonna be kind of blunt, so excuse me for that. This bill absolutely disgusts me. I'm a legal concealed handgun carrier. I can't fight, can't run, and I refuse to be a victim. As much as I fear for my physical safety, what I really fear more is you all here. You may not be considering this now, but I believe it'll probably be considered in the future. If I exercise my First Amendment right, I can't exercise my Second Amendment right. If I exercise my Second Amendment right, I can't exercise my First Amendment right on public property. I am the public. And if I choose to do both, you will label me a militia terrorist and charge me with a felony. There is nothing written that says I am only allowed to exercise one right at a time, because you might as well arrest me now, because I'm not going to stop doing either. It's obvious to me that this bill is kind of a knee-jerk reaction to what happened in Burns. The majority of knee-jerk reactions are based on emotion, not facts. Militia seems to be the new buzzword for y'all. Would it surprise you to know that there is an actual U.S. code that defines the word militia? If you speak out against government overreach, you're a terrorist. I've stood on these steps outside here numerous times with hundreds of people. Almost everybody carried a weapon. No shots were fired, nobody was injured, and nobody was terrorized. And yet, according to this bill, we would all be militia terrorists. And who exactly does this protect? It doesn't protect me. Isn't that your job, to serve and protect the citizens of Oregon? This bill does nothing more than attempt to make criminals out of citizens, hardworking, tax-paying, voting citizens. This bill is meant to put boots on the necks of people who have something to say, whether you agree with them or not. According to the Constitution, both of these are our rights. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Questions? Let me just put on the record, as much as you disagree with what someone's put forward, as we all know, that's part of the democratic process.
Exactly.
I mean, we want people to be able to bring their ideas to us and have a discussion, maybe a debate on it, and then make decisions moving forward. So, you know, we need to respect, I guess, everyone that's having that right to do it. Whether we're going to do it is a completely different thing. So thank you all very much for coming forward. Our next panel is going to be, I believe it's Danny Riggin, Ronnie Daniels, I believe, and then Sam Hill. While they're coming forward, was there anyone else who did not get signed up for his 897 who'd like to give testimony? Okay. We'll get you as soon as we get through these. Thank you. And gentlemen, please.
My name is Danny Rigdon Jr. And, you know, I'm against this bill, you know, basically for the same reasons that were spoken out over there. You know, it's our constitutional right to carry, bear, you know, firearms, and it's also our constitutional right to freedom of speech as well. You know, as the Second Amendment says, a well-regulated militia being necessary, the key word here, necessary, to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Let's look at the very definition of militia. It's been split in two. You have an organized and an unorganized militia. There's one that contains members of the National Guard and Naval Militia, and two that composes the reserve militia, being every able-bodied man at least 17 and under the age of 45. That is the very definition of militia. In America, there has always been an ideal about the citizen soldier. Key word here, citizen soldier. We even have a monument erected in 1875 in Concord, Massachusetts, named the Concord Minuteman. He was a citizen soldier. You know, he was part of a militia. That's the whole idea of militia, is that it's not for, it's not to terrorize people, it's not to shoot up a bunch of people. It's just like I believe her name was Julie said, that was up here, when she said she stood on the court, the steps of the State House here, the Capitol, with firearms, and they weren't terrorizing anybody or anything like that. That's all part of a militia. I mean, you can look at history, like, let's take a look at the Black Panthers, for instance. The inspiration that Huey Newton and Bobby Seale had from Malcolm X as young Black Panthers, they used firearms in protest for equality. So basically what you're saying is, even if the Black Panthers were here and they did a march with firearms, they don't shoot people up, as history has shown, they march with firearms. So they would be charged with a felony under this rule for doing this, just like any other militia, all right? It's a violation of their rights as well. As long as violence isn't the goal, what is the problem? That's what I don't understand that. There's even stories, whether true or false, of Attorney General Eric Holder, as a freshman at Columbia University in 1970, participating in a 5-day armed occupation of an abandoned Naval Reserve office. Under this law, he would have been arrested and charged with a felony. Probably would have never become an attorney general either. Let's see. Our founding fathers were pretty specific on this matter too. As George Washington stated, a free people ought not only be armed but disciplined. That was in his first annual address to both House and Congress, January 8th, 1790. And then, of course, Thomas Jefferson has numerous things about people being armed. No free man shall ever be disbarred from the use of firearms, Thomas Jefferson. And then also Thomas Jefferson, the laws that forbid the carrying, that's the key word here, carrying of arms are laws of such a nature they disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve to encourage than to prevent. They serve more to encourage than to prevent crimes. For an unarmed man, a group may be attacked with greater confidence than an armed man. Also, I might add that basically this bill says that, and it wasn't in place before, that the occupation in Burns and what Lavoy Finchem and Amon Bundy and all those guys were doing was not illegal at the time. So therefore, if that was not illegal at the time, if there was no bill, then where is the justification of the forceful authority within this state that went on? If there was no bill in place for what they did down in Burns, then why were the steps taken that were taken? That's just something I don't really understand. You guys are representatives of all the people in this state. As you can see, that there are individuals here. I haven't seen anybody yet that is for the bill as part of citizens of the state. Maybe you guys are. I don't know. I don't know if you're for or against it. But so far, most of the people here are against it. And you're our elected officials. We're here, pleading to you that we just want to keep our rights. Every law that's passed is taking away right. Every law that gets passed takes away an individual's rights. That's all I have to say on that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dan. Ron?
My name is Ronnie Daniels, and I'm from Polk County, Oregon, Sheridan, on the Highway 22 side, the countryside. I'm very honored to be here amongst my servants of the people. I'm going to read you something real quick, and then I'll get to my point. It is from Daniel Webster. And keep this in mind. Work for us, the people. Good intentions will always be pleaded for every assumption of authority. It is hardly too strong to say that the Constitution was made to guard the people against the dangers of good intentions. There are men in all ages who mean to govern well, but they mean to govern. They promise to be good masters, but they mean to be masters. I'd like to know where y'all stand on that, because it seems like when we got a budget deficit going on, we got more laws and we keep adding more laws, it's appalling and wasting my tax dollars, and I have to lose $120 a day so I can come down here to express my dissension of this bill and other things in this House and Senate. I've seen you. I know you, Mr. Denbrough, Mr. Brzezinski, Senator Manning. It's an honor to see you, along with Senator Thatcher and Senator Linthicum. Thank you very much. But at the same time, my point is this bill. Our founding fathers, even as late as the great John Kenya says, each of us is the militia. The militia is the individual of the person. During the Martin Luther King marches, the deacons of justice that was protecting before the Kennedy came along, Dr. King down south through the hell and misery of that time period, they would be breaking the law on this basis. You would, if you want to go through, you want to make this point, whether I agree or disagree. There might be people in the Occupy movement that is expressing their Second Amendment right along with their First Amendment right. There might be people that was in the Black Lives Matter or various other groups, La Raza or anything else. And you're going to go through and put a bill like this, you're indirectly speaking and saying, okay, you can do one, but you can't have another. When our founding fathers and the Constitution, even the Oregon Constitution, which is strengthening the gun laws stronger than the federal, says that we have those endowed rights from our Creator. And no man should be taking them away from us. I speak dissently against this bill. I hope you get this message, because sometimes y'all go through and sneak it through the back door, and it's pretty ironic. As an American and as an Oregonian of 25 years almost, I moved to this state to be part of the nature of the state, not import laws from other states that does not respect the will of the people. Thank you.
All right, Ronnie, thank you very much. Sam?
Yes, my name is David Samuel Hill. I'm from Yamhill County. I come here today to speak from the heart on this matter. The First Amendment and the Second Amendment, as we have all heard, your right to free speech, your right to redress grievances, your right to bear arms, your freedom of assembly. These are very, very important rights. And if we combine them together, if you are bearing arms while exercising your First Amendment, these two should be permitted. To restrict this or to present a law that you could get asked by a law enforcement officer to leave, that could end up restricting your rights at that point in time. I have a legal right through the First and Second Amendment to come down here and speak to you and carry. And I can carry without ever threatening anybody. My carrying a firearm isn't a threat to you as long as I do so appropriately. Now, with that being said, this law is getting very dangerously close to restricting freedoms that we all enjoy as Americans. And I would encourage you to drop the bill where it is, because there are other legal mechanisms to punish people who have criminal intentions and to do harm to either the government or to the population around them. And on top of that, this law, I feel, is a knee-jerk reaction to what 40 or so people did in Eastern Oregon, as where we have 4 million law-abiding, well, most of them are the great majority of them are law-abiding citizens that should enjoy and keep their freedoms that they have. Thank you for your time.
Sam, thank you very much. Any questions for any gentlemen? Thank you very much for coming forward. Really appreciate you coming forward. Okay, basically, we're taking testimony of the individual that wanted the bill to be heard, had a family death, so he is not here. My intention is not to be moving the bill forward.
I did hear that, sir.
All right. And your name, sir?
My name's Robert Matthews, and I live in Wayne County, Oregon.
All right, Robert. Go ahead.
Just want you all to know that I get my rights from God. I don't get my rights from you guys. Bills like this that come up should never come up. If it's in violation of our Constitution, it shouldn't even be an issue. It should be thrown out immediately. Why it's not is beyond me. We're paying you guys money to sit up here and do what? Let stuff like this go through. Bills get shoved in. Nobody's even here to represent it. And this goes on all the time. There's all kinds of bills that go through this house that come through. that nobody's ever even, they just sign them anonymously and send them in. Let's see if it goes through, guys. BS. Ain't working for me. Okay? Let's get back to the Constitution, folks. That's what we're paying you for. Thank you.
All right, Robert, thank you very much for coming forward and giving your testimony. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing on Senate Bill 897, and that's going to take us to